Downriver racing is a race against the clock, which takes place on water moving with the flow of the current. The athlete is entirely free to choose his descent paths on the variable lengths of the courses. Two types of races are organized, the classic and the sprint. The classic consists of just one round, which lasts between 10 and 25 minutes. The sprint is the addition of two identical rounds, which last from 1 to 5 minutes each. Since the descent path is free from start to finish, the downriver racer must be capable of inventing his own. In the rapids called the Pierriers on the Isère River, the Italians make different choices. Carlo Mercati goes to the right of the stopper while descending, whereas Rabbit Pontarolio goes to the left and hugs the bank. To the right, to the left. The choice is a personal one. It must take into account the athlete's technical competence, physical qualities, and risk-taking capacity. The choice of a descent path is important for speed and must also be especially well executed. But since each descent is different, the downriver racer must know how to adapt. The Italian Marco Salvan commits an error and falls into a stopper on the Pierriers. He's unable to find a properly adapted solution. In the same situation, Mikhail Fargier lands with a right-handed brace that allows him to save precious time. These adaptations deal with the form of the paddle stroke. They also concern the budgeting of one's effort during the competition. Finally, in order to go fast, the downriver racer must be capable of continuous propelling. Three types of actions are performed by the paddler: balanced, propelling, and steering. The beginner executes each action in a separate manner. He places priority on balance in white water. As he improves, the downriver racer integrates the balanced and steering actions for the propelling. And at a higher level, the paddler propels continually. While observing the champions of this discipline, the various differences of style and technique become obvious. Are there common principles behind the originality of each high-level athlete? We see that every kayakist has a rotating chest movement. This rotation is the result of the search for strength, which involves principally the use of the legs and the lower abdominals. It also corresponds with the will to paddle forward. The canoeist's search for strength poses directional problems. The common principle is to paddle vertically as closely as possible to the boat. In all categories, the efficiency of the movement automatically results in a good transfer of energy to the boat. This transfer must be efficient not only at every movement of the paddle stroke, but also during the maneuvers. Champions often make it look easy with fluid and smooth descent paths. This indicates a common characteristic, anticipation. It is carried out by a permanent pre-orientation of the boat in function with the movements of the water and the desired direction. For this, the athlete uses several techniques. He is capable of varying the angle of the canoe in relation to the water movements. He must use the heel or correct the trim of his kayak. Actions must be previewed in advance and coordinated in time. They must be released by a single factor, the glance. Adhesion to the descent paths therefore begins by the anticipation of the glance. The quality of the paddle stroke is a constant preoccupation of the downriver racer during his descent. To paddle effectively during the descent, several criteria must be respected. Whitewater racing is a complicated activity. Practice is vital in order to develop special know-how. This part allows for the presentation of the majority of these specifications. During the descent, the movement in competition is never regular. Shortening of the paddle stroke, redoubling of the braces, lengthening of the movement, the pause between two paddle strokes. These adjustments are carried out using great variations of amplitude. They are indispensable for synchronizing one's paddle stroke according to the relief of the river. For example, the German Marcus Wickler continually varied the amplitude of his paddle stroke during his descent. One short stroke with his left arm bent, and one long stroke with the same arm outstretched at the water's entrance. These adjustments are equally indispensable for placing one's braces at a strategic point. Independent of the amplitude, the rhythm in the water varies throughout the descent. This rhythm adjustment is an example of perfect execution, performed here by the team of Damien Feix and Pierre Ross. In the waves, the competitor tries to place his braces at their crest. He nevertheless places all the power at the moment when the stern is still anchored in the water. This technique also allows for maintaining the direction of the boat. This technique is applicable to the canoe. According to the length of the wave, certain athletes try to intersperse a paddle stroke, which allows them to keep up a strong pace. The positioning of the braces is equally important during the negotiation of a stopper. We systematically enact a brace before the stopper in the acceleration phase of the water, and especially a brace behind the stopper. A brace is executed at the moment of impact of the kayakist's body with the wave to retain the speed. Positioning of the braces is equally strategic in relation to the lateral positioning. The well-executed brace can allow one to eliminate the deflector effect. In order to do so, it must be executed in opposition to a lateral current at the moment when the bow of the boat comes into contact with it. This action is often reinforced by a heel. For example, Robert Pantaroglio obliterates the first deflector and thus finds himself off rhythm for the second one. To maintain a high speed means maintaining a great number of paddle strokes per minute. Paddling rapidly must not exclude changes in rhythm. Downriver racing boats are fast and difficult to maneuver. Tradition has it that we learn to turn by positioning one's kayak on the heel. But in the reality of white water, should we use the heel in all situations? This is what we're going to look at in the final part dealing with technique, how to turn while descending. The heel is used when the boat is sitting along its total length in the water. We find this situation on flat water or in long waves. The heel must be large, but not extremely so if we don't want the back fin to block the slide. To avoid the situation, the heel can extend to the limit of the chest, thus reducing the weight of the kayak's stern. Also, throughout the heel, the body must be perfectly balanced in the boat. This allows for a better effectiveness of the heel on rushing water. To turn, we can also use an inverted heel. This technique is used when we turn with the help of a current, which allows one to amplify the effect on the rotation of the kayak. In this situation, keeping the boat flat or using a normal heel will break the rotation speed, as seen here in the descent path error committed by the German Claudia Bokoff. The effect of the inverted heel can be equally used when negotiating a stopper. Actually, when coming out of the water, the pointed bow turns on its side, where we heel thanks to the narrow form of the deck. We can see here that the heel executed by the German Hans Mersmann releases a rotation of his kayak towards the left of your screen. This allows for the countercurrent situated behind the stopper to amplify the slide. On the other hand, in the same situation, the Czech Robert Knebel stopped the rotation effect instigated by the countercurrent by executing a heel on the opposite side. The heel, however, is not the only method for turning. We will now see another way of going about it. To turn without heeling takes place for the most part in the waves. The difficulty resides in the moment of the rotation release. The greatest effectiveness is obtained on the crest of the wave at the moment when the bow and the stern are out of the water. This release is executed by a stronger sweep stroke or paddle stroke slightly away from the boat. Now that we've completed the technical part, we would like to wish you all a good downriver descent. And don't forget, it's the pleasure of the event which is your best guide.